Welcome to the G.N.A podcast, Games, Nerds, and Alcohol, where we get messed up and we talk about stuff. Well, it's been a little while. It's a little bit longer than I expected. Last episode, we had Colin K. Bass on. Fantastic friggin' episode. Had a great time. Hopefully going to knock it out of the park with this one too, since I always seem to have more fun every time I record now. We didn't record. It's so long because I got sick, and it was just... I focus on getting better versus trying to get out content. So I apologize to anybody who actually listens and was all, man, where the hell's G.N.A? I thought they were recording again. Man, it's taking too long. No, anyway, I got sick. It was my fault. But we're being joined tonight by Zyber. Zyber, how you feeling, man? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. All right, well, we're gonna move on over to Otawk. He's joining us tonight for the first time. How you feeling, man?
Oh, I'm good. Long day. Get a drink. I'm ready.
It's definitely been a long day.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so long. I just dumped bourbon all over myself.
That's the excitement, man. You get home. It's been long, shaking like a mad dog. It's been too long since the last drink.
Whoa, that was something. No. Oh, now we're getting a whole lot of background noise. Nope. Still nothing, Zyber. You can't see him, but literally Zyber just stuck his head back, and I know exactly what he said because I could read his lips off of it. Oh, well, while Zyber's working through some technical difficulties, I'll quickly finish the story I was just telling you. So I went over to my brother's and we were totally going to get through this 2-pound gummy. And we decided, we're going to totally get through this leaf of this 2-pound gummy, which is probably like, I don't know, it's probably about a quarter pound. Like one leaf was a quarter pound of gummy. So we decided, all right, we're going to do this. So we take off a big old chunk, throw it into our face. We start chewing. Now the whole gummy, let me just read it off to you. The whole gummy has 3,000 milligrams of Delta 9 and 20,000 milligrams total of THC. So it says it's the largest legal THC gummy in history. They weren't lying. So we chew down some of this stuff and we're all like, yeah, this could be great. We got so messed up. It's like 9 o'clock at night. We're like, we're going to bed. We're messed up. We go to bed. I wake up the next morning and I'm like stumbling around going, man, I'm still really fucked up. I hear my brother talking downstairs thinking he's talking normal. I'm like, yeah, he sounds fine. He sounds perfectly fine. Like everything is good. Everything's kosher. I get down there. I look him in the eye for about, it felt like it was probably for like 3 seconds, but I felt like I stared him right in the eyes for like a minute. And then we both start giggling uncontrollably. And I'm like, you're still fucked up. And he's like, yeah, I am. I'm like, how are you talking normally a second ago? He's like, I don't know. I didn't think I was. Oh, man. Oh, well.
I do like how on the box they have the BFG on there. That acronym has become synonymous with so many things that really commit to the part.
Yeah. Like this is, I kid you not. This gummy, you could bring to like a nightclub and give everybody a piece of it and you'd still have some left over. Like it's just it's silly. I'm gonna get another one, of course, but it's just silly.
That was a messed up night.
That was a messed up night. Hey, I can hear you. Zyber, how are you feeling, good sir?
Well, I am doing okay, and yeah, that's about where I am right now.
Well, first segment of the show, What is everybody drinking or partaking in? Whatever one you're. We're green friendly now, so whatever one you're partaking in. So, Otawk, what are you partaking in this evening?
So, first time on here, so I tried to do something classy, but took no opportunity, no effort to plan for it. So I stumbled into the kitchen, basically opened up the cabinet, and I was like, "All right, well, what's the first couple things I see?" All right, I got some. I had some Crown Apple. I had some Jack Daniels left over, and I was like, I got some lime juice and some lemon juice. I was like, all right, well, I'll kind of make like an apple mule kind of thing. So it's got some of the misunderstood ginger whiskey, a mix
Ooh.
of some Crown Apple and Jack Daniels apple. Finish it off with a little bit of lemon lime juice. So it has a kind of a mule sort of feel to it, but otherwise it's sort of some ragtag out of the cabinet, but not terrible.
Man, if you threw some mint in there, that might kick it up a
Yeah,
notch.
mull some mint in it. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. I think those flavors would mix very well. That sounds well. How is it? Like, okay, you told us what it is. How is it?
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. For me personally, it's like a 6. I think if I added either like mint with probably like mulled mint with like maybe some apple juice to kind of turn off the sour just a bit and make it a little bit more savory, I think it'd probably be maybe an 8 at tops.
So I got to ask, because I think I can ask this and I'll get a good response. What's the attack like? Like that first hit, like it hits your lips. What's that attack like?
Yeah, so it's sour forward right now. So like the lemon and lime juice is sour forward.
Okay.
But then that quickly gives way to sort of the ginger aspect of it, and then the aftertaste is the apple. So you kind of get sour first, ginger, then you get the apple and the aftertaste. So there's transitions to how it comes and goes, but that's the process that it comes in. So I think with the apple juice and the mint, I imagine the mint would kind of come right after the ginger, maybe kind of smooth that ginger phase out. And then the apple juice would add a little bit of sweetness to the end and make it a little bit more tolerable.
What you got, Zyber?
I would say sweet ginger liquor would improve it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Very good stuff. I like drinking it with a little bit of seltzer. There's different qualities and ABVs for ginger liquor. And yeah, I mean, the world's your oyster with it. I use that to bump up along with ginger juice any of my mules.
Did they
Very
make
nice. Well,
just straight raw ginger juice? Is that a thing you can get?
Yes. Yep.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
They make shots of it, in fact, and it's about what you expect. What about you, Zyber? What are you drinking tonight or partaking in?
I am just drinking Guinness out of a can.
I like it. Savage.
Yes, savage and quick, easy. Pairs well with my dinner, which is steak and potatoes.
Oh, this guy.
like it.
He's really bringing the class here.
Yeah, man. He's bringing it right up. Well, I actually had a bit of that gummy because I still have half of it left and I bought it last year sometime. So I had a little bit of that gummy, which about 45 minutes will probably take effect and I'll be very useless. But also I am drinking because I just wanted something to sip on tonight. I am drinking from Barrels and Billets, which is the Louisville Sluggers bourbon attachment that they made. I actually have a specific bourbon that I mixed myself called the G.N.A Special Elixir. So it's a bourbon with a very, very light smoke taste, kind of a sweet finish, and that's kind of how I like my bourbons. I kind of like all my whiskeys that way. I like scotches to be a little bit sweeter. But this one I was able to mix in, so it's got a... Hold on. So the attack on it is really sweet. So you get that first hit, and it's kind of like sweet lip smack and sweet almost. The rollover is very like It's a little bit harsh. I'm not going to lie. So if you're not a bourbon drinker, which I'm not really a bourbon drinker, but if you're not a bourbon drinker, you kind of have that almost turpentine taste out of some bourbons. It has that kind of like that, but then it finishes out with this little touch of smokiness on the back end, which I think wraps it up for me. So it kind of like makes a hard left with that bourbon turpentine taste, and it makes a hard left and gives you a nice smoky flavor out of it. So I dig it. I have tried to find something that mixes with it food wise. I haven't really found anything great that mixes with it food wise. Burgers and eggs, which is what I had tonight, does not mix with it. So don't do that. If you happen to pick one of these things up, if you happen to go there and say, I want one of those, don't do that. It's a bad idea. But all around, it's a good little sipper. It's a good little thing to chill out with. Yeah, I dig it. I might try something a little different next time I go to Kentucky, though. All right, second section. State of Games. State of Games is where we talk about what we've been playing for the past couple of weeks, or we just pontificate on how we feel gaming is nowadays. So, why don't we reverse that order? Zyber, what's your State of Games?
Well, my State of Games was a little bit of Helldiver 2. That's all I can remember off the top of my head right now.
Playing the game of life, it seems. I see.
Yeah.
I understand that well.
Yeah, I pretty much have dabbled in that a little bit, and a few other games. One of them was Without Light, which was pretty cool. It was in the Humble Pack this month.
Oh yeah, actually gotta go check that out.
That was actually pretty interesting, but I've been pretty much coming home vegging on like just stuff to watch and going to bed early.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like I'm starting to go to bed at the same time I would normally have started to go out.
Yeah.
I see. I'm still maintaining maximum irresponsibility and staying up later than I need to in order to do something.
Yeah,
I haven't learned yet.
It's just been those days at work where it's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to bed. That's nitty gritty of it.
Yeah. Maybe when I'm like on vacation or something, I'll worry about staying up late and stuff. I mean, I do stay up later than I probably should, but I try to hit the bed around 10 o'clock. I don't always make it around 10 o'clock, but I always try to hit for 10 o'clock. Just so like I can get in there, watch an episode, doom scroll on the phone for a little while or something before I, try to go to sleep.
I'm a 8:30 person.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's serious.
I'm also up at 4:30 in the morning every day.
Oof. Okay, that makes more sense now.
Yeah, that tracks. That definitely tracks.
I don't know. I'm very much just. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed at 11, and then my brain's like, but what about this thing? What about this thing you haven't thought about all day, but right now is the perfect opportunity to think about it?
The Roman army?
Yeah, right. But that's my crux, unfortunately, in life.
Yeah, that's absolutely typical. It's like, oh man, I'm so tired. Everything's been happening all day. I'm gonna totally lay down. Hey, you remember that one dude that you were talking to today that said something looked kind of funny on you? Were they really like insulting you really hard? Like, were they making? No, they were telling me I had a mustard stain. Like,
was that a compliment or an insult?
Brain, what are you doing right now? Oh yeah. What about your State of Games? What have you been doing, Otawk?
So I have enlisted in the cult, playing my fair share of Helldivers 2. Yep, exactly, for Super Earth. So I've been doing that, which is cool. I've been. Well, that's not it. There you go. So I'm very anti.
He was just asking if he's seen Kyle. He's about this tall.
Yeah, have you seen him?
Have you seen Kyle? He's about this tall.
Yeah, but I've been experimenting a lot in Helldivers, just trying to find anything but the meta to play with. I've always been very anti-meta. Then beyond that, I've been playing Against the Storm, which is like a city builder, and you play with like these sort of fantastical creatures that you control, and like two of them are so moody you try to avoid them, and then everyone else is fine. And then I know it's not technically a game, but somewhat is. I think it's like Epic Little Dungeon or something like that. It's like a board game
Yeah, that
where it's
counts.
super confusing for like the first 20 minutes because every single item in the game has like 50 symbols on it that translate to something. And so it's basically like trying to decrypt some foreign language to figure out how to play it at first, but otherwise it's a pretty fun game. Hard because you get your ass kicked very quickly, but is otherwise fun.
Oh, neat. It actually does sound like fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would recommend it. It's a pretty good game. Piece intensive, but otherwise a pretty good game. At least the concept.
yeah, I don't. And it's a board game.
Yeah, it's a board game. I'm not even sure if it's like a mainstream. I've been in one of those like Kickstarter kind of things. I'm not sure. I literally just played it for the first couple times like a few days ago.
Like, is it
Um,
single player, multiplayer? Like,
no, it's multiplayer. So, have you guys ever played like House Betrayal at the House on the Hill, or like Betrayal Legacy or anything like that? Where you
I
have like
played
room
Betrayal over at your
tiles?
house. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's very much like that. So basically, you get a randomly generated dungeon, and then your heroes that you can select from, and like they have different like specialties. Like there's like intelligence, which is like your magic and wizards, druids, all that kind of stuff. Then there's like strength, which is like fighters, warriors, all that kind of stuff. Blah blah blah. You know, assassins for dexterity. So kind of D&D esque. And the
Mhm.
dungeon's different every time. So you go into this dungeon, you have different quests you have to do, and then different. Well, I won't say different enemies, but randomized enemies you run into. Goblins are kind of your bottom tier. Then you get minions and a surprise boss that you have to fight. And really, to me, it seems like the core mechanics of the game is like turn economy, because basically certain things are unlimited, right? So you're encouraged to make as many actions as possible in your turn, because basically the enemies in the game get to take twice as many turns as you do. So after every player's turn, the enemies take a turn, all of them. So you have to maximize, every single player in the game has to maximize their turn to the furthest possible extent to
Oh,
basically even have a shot at winning the game. So one of those things that's like, it might make a great drinking game because you lose all the time. But it could be one of those things where it's like a friend destroyer where you're like, you cost us the game. You didn't do this one thing 15 turns ago that definitely killed us all. So it could be one of those.
That kind of sounds like the RPG I sent to Cecil not too long ago, where you have like a glass of beer and it's your or other drink, and
oh
that's
yeah,
your
yeah,
hit points.
yeah. I do remember that.
But yeah, I mean,
What was the name of that?
I would recommend it. So for anyone out there who's interested, Epic Little Dungeons, I think is what it is.
Oh, I'm gonna check it out. I actually just not too long ago kickstarted Ring of Chaos. It's by Beatles and Barb. Um, my God, I forgot the guy's name. Matthew something. He was in the movie Scream. He was one of the two killers. Oh, spoiler.
Oh,
I
spoiler.
forget. God damn, I forgot his name already. But anyways, so I saw that and I backed that. And then there was another RPG thing, RPG like virtual tabletop builder that I think I backed as well recently. But yeah, let's say that next time we come over, we'll have to try that out. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, why not?
Well, my state of games has been pretty light actually. I've been playing a lot of Helldivers 2 because I've been doing my part. Played Lethal Company a couple times the past couple of weeks with Devin from Thoughts and Shots, and because I got super sick over the weekend, and even like playing Helldivers was more effort than I could put forward. Like I still played Helldivers, but it took more effort than I think it needed to. So I jumped into a game called Dave the Diver. Either you played that?
Yep, great game, great characters, good pixel art.
What?
Yeah,
No,
like
Scuba Steve.
so it's funny. It's basically like if Scuba Steve was a big fat guy. Um, yeah, it's definitely entertaining. It's like the premise is that you're helping a dude has a sushi restaurant, and you're basically diving to get him ingredients. That's the premise and start of the game. And then it spirals from there because as you start searching the ocean, the blue hole is what they're talking about. And no, this isn't like a Avatar porn or anything. It's just a big hole in the ground that you're diving into. And so like you literally are like, as you start exploring, you start finding, little like statues and pictures of different, mer folk and stuff. So like that leads into that whole thing. And there's a Dredge crossover, which is very Cthulhu-like. I haven't even tried that yet, but it was a free crossover that they released. I thought that was cool. And there's coming up in May, Dave the Diver has got a Godzilla crossover that I think is also supposed to be free.
That's pretty cool. Free DLC.
Yeah. I'm actually super interested in that. I mean, think about it. Hello Games with No Man's Sky did the same thing. They just keep releasing, free patches and DLC. I say patches. Their patches are more like DLC. But yeah, other than that, I really have only been doing some miniature painting. I think I showed some pictures online, like I did, RoboCop here. And I finished off Eric Draven the Crow, which the new Crow movie's coming out in, I think, June 5th is when it's coming out. Could be wrong, but I think it's June 5th. That's going to be interesting. Got
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I hadn't seen the original. I was talking to my wife, and she's like, "Oh my God, a Crow!" She's a big movie buff. Has seen everything and has a comment on how every movie from the 1970s or whatever is a work of art, in some respect or another. But even in researching it, I like the premise because I guess the guy who had created the story was originally like a way to cope with like the loss, I guess, of his wife to like a drunk driver, and that's what created this story. And I was like, messed up, but a really cool thing to like interpret one's grief into this character and whatnot.
Have you read the comic?
No, actually, I had no idea that it like even existed up until that point.
I have the comic. If you want to read it sometime, it's actually pretty good. It's different. So the movie is definitely different than the comic. It's kind of in the same vein. The original movie, the 95, 96 movie that came out with Brandon Lee in it.
I thought it was 94.
Could be 94. It's probably 94. But that the movie that came out in the mid 90s, we'll say 94 because that sounds pretty accurate. With Brandon Lee, and that's that dude. I'm assuming Lauren has told you about Brandon Lee, and that was his last film.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when you watch it, try to figure out if you can see what scene he like bought it in. When we were growing up, it was one scene that they were like, "Oh, it was this scene," and it ended up being a completely different scene. But if you ever want to watch The Crow, I have pretty much every incarnation of that movie that has ever been released because I'm a huge Crow nerd. I'm one of the big. Hold on,
here it is. Here comes the evidence.
I have the soundtrack, not the soundtrack. Sorry, the score on vinyl of The Crow. That's
God. What a nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in high school, at one of the dances, I played $20 to bribe the guy that was DJing to play a couple songs for Steve.
Oh, was that a Halloween dance where I was dressed like the Crow?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would be 94 too. I think that dance was in 95 that we went to. Yeah, dude. There's actually some really fun lore about that. Again, if you ever want to watch it, I don't want to because I can sit here and talk for the next hour about The Crow. But if you ever want to watch it, I say we can get together, or I'll let you borrow one of the 15 DVD, VHS, or whatever else I got hanging out.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, when I mentioned it to my wife, she was already like, "We gotta watch it. So I know it's on the radar now to watch the first one. She apparently the ones that followed the first one were not that good, at least in her opinion.
City of Angels,
bad.
Yeah, so City of Angels came after that, and they had I don't know whether it was a French Canadian or just a French dude. They went the route of having him trying to find a guy who looked like Brandon Lee, at least like mostly looked like Brandon Lee. Not exactly, but once you put makeup on, looked like Brandon Lee.
Catch him at the right angle, right light.
Yeah, that type of thing. So they went hard into that. Let's get him to look like this guy. They changed stuff around in the second movie. They kind of tried. They made it a continuation off of the first movie because one of the main characters was Sarah, who's from the first movie. So they kind of like kept it a continuation there to make it like a direct sequel. And they went down the same path that they did with the original Crow movie versus the comic book or what the actual script was supposed to be like. So I appreciate that they did that. But the second movie is probably, out of the sequels, probably the best or the next to best out of the sequels, because part 3 was called Salvation. And they changed some stuff around in that, and I dug like the changes, but the movie was like B at
crap.
best. Yeah, it was B at best. And then the fourth one was Wicked Prayer. Had the dude who played John Connor in it.
Yeah,
Woof.
that was rough. That was really rough.
Yeah, that was like
long.
Yeah, that was like somebody tried to make there was somebody that was like, yeah, we're going to make a Crow fan flick, and that's what the ones with no budget. Not the good ones with no budget, but the bad ones with no budget.
Yeah, you can like see the scene cuts and no costume is consistent. There's one guy that changes his t-shirt 2 times in the same scene.
Yeah, the thing though is at the point of that movie, Edward Furlong was at the peak of his heroin addiction.
Yeah, you could tell.
Okay. Yeah, that would definitely be an issue, yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that there was some addiction or drug use there, and not the good kind of drugs. Okay. Yeah, I could talk about the Crow, but yeah, man, as soon as you've seen that, like, I will talk your ear off, because I have a lot of useless trivia stuck up in this brain about that movie.
I have useless trivia stuck in my head, but it's always disassociated things. It's like meaningless things, something that no one would ever ask about. That's what's stuck in my head.
I feel you there, man.
Useless piece of trivia. Did you know in a car moving 80 miles an hour that there is a spot on that car that is moving 0 miles per hour and also 160 miles per hour?
A spot on the car that's doing that?
There's a single spot on that car. Well, we'll just say it's a single spot. There's a spot on that car that is going 0 miles per hour and a part that's going 160 miles per hour.
Okay, Schrodinger.
Yeah, I wish there was a cat involved. I didn't know this. I went down a dark path one night watching all sorts of weird stuff, and Neil deGrasse Tyson came up and explained this, and my brain, I was also extremely high at the time, went. Because once he said it, I was like, oh my God, that's exactly, yes, I can't believe I didn't see that.
It all
Do you guys know what parts it is?
I don't know. It has to be a moving part, I assume.
Now it gets to be some learning part. The part of the tire that touches the pavement is going 0 miles per hour. Because it has to make grip. And to make grip and move, it means that has to push friction against the ground. And that means that it is moving. Granted, assuming the car's not like spinning out of control or squawking the tires, that's moving 0 miles per hour. And the very top of that same tire has to be moving 180 miles per hour because it has to go faster than the car is going so that it can get back down to the ground.
He's a witch. No.
He turned me into an honest.
But yeah, there's a little there's something I guess anybody listening didn't expect to learn today. Or maybe they already know and I've screwed it up. And if I did, email me at G.N.A podcast at GNAinyourdNA.1. Just come over, hang out, tell me I'm wrong.
Here comes the angry internet, and I can already hear the keyboard warriors slamming away.
Oh man, I hope so.
It's just like playing Boggle, and you have all the same letters as the word ginger. You have to make other words with the same letters.
Ow. I don't know how you're going to make anything more out of a ginger.
Ooh. It's already just maximum potential.
My wife is in the room, and I just realized that there are sharp implements that's closer to her than I thought.
It's all right. She's the type to kill you slowly, not quickly.
Yeah, she doesn't want to see me go quick. She wants me to suffer.
Yep.
I'll be on my deathbed and she'll be like, yeah, you remember that time in 5th grade where you came up to shake my hand and you accidentally scratched my wrist? This is payback.
I've been waiting to bring this up for years. Honestly, if that were me, I'd be like, you know what? Good for you. Good for you for waiting this long to make sure I couldn't do anything. Good for you.
Like, you win. You win this round.
Some
I'll
people
deserve
it. Pat
just play
yourself
the
on the
long
back.
game.
What'd you say, Kurt?
I said some people just like to play the long game.
Ah. Facts.
Oh, so dude, that's
It's
like me.
been a marriage of revenge this whole time.
Do you guys remember the whole cup check thing that happened a while ago? It's probably still a thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
I remember it
military thing.
back in high school.
Yeah, because we did it a lot in the Marine Corps. For those that don't know, I was in the Marine Corps for a time. We used to just yell cup check and punch each other. If you asked us why, I would tell you just for the sake of causing misery. But so since we were younger, me and my brother, we used to do the same thing to each other pretty much all the time. It's just yell cup check and then literally punch each other in the dick. So my brother used to do that to me as an act of revenge. And the last time he did it, I told him that I was going to wait until his wedding day. And then when he was at his wedding getting married, I would come into the alleyway or wherever we happen to be, yell cup check, sprint down towards him, and punch him in the dick on his wedding day. I've been holding on to that for years. Now he's finally got a fiance, and so now I'm waiting for the opportunity. And he said, I swear to God, he said that if I remember, I will, that he would just stand there and let me do it. Just like open his arms and just accept it. That this is the fate of the universe. So
In truth, he's going to be
saving
there
it,
like,
dude.
no,
I'm
no, no,
saving
no,
it.
no,
I'm
no.
ready.
I have to be there for that, please. Please let me. I don't even have to be like there participating on purpose. I don't have to be actually invited. I could be sitting in a
take
window.
a picture.
So I'm saying I could be at a window just poking through like a peeping Tom. Just, like the cops will be in the background arresting me as you're just punching your brother in the dick. I'm all over this.
Yeah, I mean, we never really punched in the dick. It was more bandanas and towels.
Oh yeah, we were the bandana generation. We could literally open your flesh with a bandana.
Yeah, you need a second circumcision. Cecil's got you.
Dude.
Just hold it out, slap it off like you ever see those people snapping noodles with whips? Just do it like
Yeah.
that. Just take the shit clean off.
No, seriously, he could. Same
I-
thing with a penny or a quarter or a bottle cap. He get that shit around glasses.
Yeah, I used to be
He
pretty
split my
friggin'
eyebrow
evil.
open with a freaking $50 that he snapped.
Oh, when we were
It went
snapping like that.
Yeah, it went over the top part of my glasses, caught me in the eyebrow, and split me open.
Yep, that was that was a $50, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was up in D's room
Yeah,
when he lived in Rupert.
I feel like that needs to be like some type of primal ritual. Like first one to draw blood wins. You just snap coins at each
Basically
other.
was.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much was. But yeah, I can remember that one. Were you there for that one Christmas where we were having a penny fight upstairs and one of us launched a penny off that top loft and it smoked? Like, I'm talking shattered one of their best or like oldest heirloom friggin' ornaments on their tree.
No, I wasn't there for that one.
Oh my God, it was like the day after Christmas or something, or maybe or day before. So I don't remember what the hell it was, but we're upstairs, of course, getting into our normal penny wars. And I want to say it was D. Goes, boom, wings
Of
one.
course it's D.
I duck and it buzzes right by me. And all you hear is, whee! As just this thing shattered upon arrival. Just bam.
Yeah,
was in
yeah.
pieces.
And he can't buy Cecil then.
No, he was kind of fucked. Oh.
Did you run as fast as you could at that point, or did you fess up to it?
Oh, it wasn't me. It was D. But I just sat there and waited, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna get beat, aren't we? Pretty sure we're getting beat."
We're gonna get punched in the mouth today.
Yeah.
Yeah, after hearing the story at your house, playing frisbee with the freaking Tupperware lid,
It was
Or
a
whipped
it was a
cream.
hot plate. It was a hot plate holder. Thank you.
Okay. But yeah, hearing that story, I was like, wow, I'm surprised your mom didn't murder you or your dad.
Yeah, that plate he brought from England. It was like one of the only things he ever brought from England. Yeah, and anywho, we're not putting that one on recording right yet, just because he's still alive and he can actually kill me.
I don't need to log evidence against myself. This is not an interrogation.
I mean, my parents knew it broke, and I was standing right there. It's not like I was getting out of it.
Yeah, but the whole thing was D. It was just the craziest time, and he was like, "Bye, Cecil," and left.
we
His
were
mom showed up.
we were using this wicker hot plate, and we were throwing it back and forth between us. I was in the dining room, he was in the living room, because it was like this big open archway, and we're sitting there. I'm in the dining room. He's like, we're throwing back and forth, just basically doing like attack frisbee in the house because we're stupid and young. I literally throw it, and somehow in a house that doesn't have heating, like their heating vents aren't great. Like it's a house that was built in like the 1800s. So the heating's not exactly great. I literally throw this thing and it goes down towards the ground, and then immediately, with no moving air in this building, and it whips itself directly up diagonal, right at this plate, sitting above my head height. It wings off of this thing. And I swear to you, I had enough time to literally go, D, grab the plate! D, the plate! Grab the plate! God damn it, D, grab the plate! I had enough time to get all of that out and watch this plate go falling and tip over and go tink, tink, tink as it hit like 5 different things on its path to the ground. And it hits all of these things and doesn't even make a chip off of it. It lands on the ground perfectly upside down and shatters into about 1,000 pieces. And I look down at this plate and I'm like, D, what are we going to do? His mom shows up at that very second. He turns around, looks out of the window, turns back and goes, hey, and runs out the door. And I'm just literally sitting there with this plate in 1,000 pieces. And it's not like he left and they're like, hey, I got to go tell my mom I'll be right back to help you. He ran out of the building, jumped in the car, and I hear the car door close and then brrr, as it drives away. And I'm like, that son of a bitch.
He's got this. I don't need to be here.
Exactly. So yeah, he's got this. I know what you mean. Oh, well, to circle back on what we were talking about originally. So the Crow remake is coming out June 5th. And it's got the same guy who plays It, or Pennywise in It. What the hell is his name? He's got some like weird last name. Like Tyler, blah, 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 blah.
Burp alphabet.
Yeah, bippity boppity boo. What the hell's his name? Zyber, save me.
I can't even save myself.
All right. Well, anyway, it's got him in it. And I don't know. Have you guys seen any of the trailers for it by any chance?
No, I haven't actually.
Yes, I saw the trailer for it, and I'm not really all that enthused.
So I haven't seen a trailer, but I've seen like the first look pictures or whatever, and it's got him, and I forget who her name is, but it sounds like an R&B name. But they just like it doesn't. It looks like they tried to really over modernize it to be like it was shot yesterday. So it looks
Billy Skarsgård.
Yeah,
And,
Billy Nasgard.
Yeah. FKA Twigs
That's
is
it.
playing Shelly.
That's her name. Yeah, it looks. As I said, I'm a huge Crow nerd, so I'm looking at it going, ugh, this is gonna be a rough watch.
But you'll watch it anyway because you're that super fan.
I am. I'm just hoping I get there and there's something
Of substance.
good.
Well, okay. So, I mean, with that being said, what is making you guys nervous about it? Because neither one of you has looked at the advertising material and been like, this is it. this is the one. You both were like, yeah, this is gonna suck.
So I'm not saying it's gonna suck. I have
But
definite concerns.
it's not gonna be good, which means it sucks.
Yeah, okay. I mean, we do have to go down that. Yeah, okay. I don't know, Zyber. What would be your take on that? What about it is really putting you like, ooh, this could be bad?
So far, the thing that's putting me off is all the imagery. How they're portraying the characters from what we got when we grew up doesn't feel accurate to me. Like,
well, it also isn't really accurate to the comic either.
Right. I mean, granted, but like, just the whole thing of it's meth head Joker all over again.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's been some comparisons I've seen on that where they're comparing it to Jay Leto's Joker, which I can see it. I say, Otawk, if you just look pictures on Crow Remake and you'll see the image that we're talking about. Like the thing that, and not that I'm against. Okay, I'm not against tattoos. I'm fine with tattoos. Not everything has to be tattooed, and this dude literally is covered in tattoos, and not like he's got like an arm or a sleeve or he's got a few on his chest all over the place. He literally looks like somebody jumped into the character generator of like Mortal Kombat and just started putting like Johnny over people's eyes and shit. Like this dude has got some pretty cliche tattoos and locations, but the dude's covered in them.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hood rat kind of.
Yeah,
chunky.
It does.
Freaking ghetto tattoos
I don't know, man. Listen, I haven't done some of the jobs I've done. Tattoos are easy to do wrong. I will say that, like with the most certainty, is that tattoos are very easy to do wrong.
Right,
because
like the tattoos in this, they look like they were done in a 7-Eleven bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah, and like sometimes even bad tattoos can be good tattoos. It just matters to the person that gets it. Like, I think sometimes people tend to oversell their tattoos. I mean, like I've googled what you guys are talking about in the terms of the image of it and like the meth head Joker. Yeah, I can definitely see how that would. I can definitely see how you would already automatically begin to lose confidence, and I think that's like those are tattoos done poorly, where they're so over exaggerated. It's like a person trying too hard. Like they want to be cool, but they're trying so hard at trying to be cool that it makes you immediately the biggest loser.
Yeah, it becomes cringe.
Yeah, it's cringy at that point. So, and I think that's the way that I'm looking at the character now. That's definitely what it is. Is they're trying so hard with the appearance and all this stuff that, to me, what I would expect is that the writer would go, "Oh, well, I don't need to write a convincing character because they look convincing." That's kind of what I would expect to get out of it at that point. But it's hard to do tattoos well, and a lot of times when I see tattoos done poorly, it usually comes from people who don't have tattoos or don't understand the tattoo culture that stuff comes from. Because I mean, there are we talk about like ghetto tattoos. I've seen a lot of really, really great tattoos come out of we'll say less desirable neighborhoods, or even gang tats that come out of certain things. And they're really good. I mean, the artists that do this stuff they're really, really good at doing these tattoos. But I've seen my fair share of really bad, Cali girl tattoos, or whatever town you come from tattoos, and it's just people get them to get them. They don't actually get them with any purpose. They don't get them with any planning, or they're trying too hard to represent a particular thing. So I see that as this is, rather than write a convincing character, let me make my character look convincing, and then hopefully I don't have to write them as well. That's kind of the vibe that I get at the current moment.
Yeah, I'm trying not to shit all over it. I'm gonna watch it. Everybody knows I'm gonna watch it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm still gonna shit on it too.
Yeah, I'm not walking into this with really high hopes.
Likewise,
expectations are probably Uwe Boll level.
That's funny for you to say that.
Yeah, because like, I mean, I at least expect him to murder a story. But
I
at least he
mean,
does it
next
mostly
thing
with
you
his
know,
own.
you find out that he underwrote and underdirect this movie.
Oh, dude, you know what? That day he told me to eat a dick on Twitter. This was his revenge. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna get that crow license. I'm gonna murder it, and I'm gonna send it right out because I know this guy loves it. God, that would be a fucking
Probably.
play.
That'd be touche. Touche.
I-
Now ball's in my court.
Yeah, I'd literally be like, you know what? You got me, son. You got me. Bravo.
Now, I'm not condoning this, but it'd be valid reason to blow someone's house up.
Oh, I would definitely at least leave something in his toilet.
The flaming dog shit on the porch kind of thing.
No, I think he's worth an upper decker.
Oh yeah, worth upper decker in every restroom.
Yeah, he's worth taking. He's worth taking the time to do an upper decker there.
Yeah, and that's a Taco Bell upper decker.
Yeah. I mean, unless you can effectively get like the log, you know, what I'm talking about like the log, the one that really is slow to deteriorate in there, and you just kind of get like little shitty brown water. You think maybe you have some hard water or something like that. To man, that's starting to smell. Oh my god! And then the thing finally breaks down. And there's just this brown stream for 20-30 minutes. And you're like, oh god.
Nah, man, the best would probably be the pellet poops, because every time you lift that up, it's gonna be like boba going right in there, and it's gonna sit and it's gonna slowly melt.
I'm just imagining your shit-filled tapioca balls.
I think I've seen this one time. And this is back in the day. Again, this is another military thing, where a guy had enough commitment to, I swear to God, probably save up taking a shit for like 2 weeks, and then rather than shit in the bowl, started at one end of the seat of the toilet, and like shit like a fucking perfect circle all the way around the toilet. And it was like a smooth, silky shit where it's like kind of tacky and like stuck to the seat, right? So like you couldn't like just sort of poke it and it falls off into the toilet. Like it would stick to the lid, like, you know, stick to the seat so you can easily
So
remove it.
it was like the unicorn pooping in the Squatty Potty commercial.
Exactly. But like for real. And it was like, you know, this guy took the time to not only hover over your toilet, but to lay out a perfect spherical shit all the way around your
Dude,
toilet
that's
seat,
some
just
great
to
core
fucking spite
control.
you. Because that way you know that this person took the time to not only save this up, but build the skill necessary to lay out the perfect shit across your toilet.
Yeah, man, the core control alone in that is amazing.
I know, right? But yeah, we saw that once in a barracks room. And honestly, it was so perfect, it was hard to be mad at, but it was still pretty annoying.
I was gonna say, it sounds like one of those shit that's like one of those dime shits that turned into a quarter. You know what I'm talking about? Like, well, dime starts, all of a sudden it turns into a quarter, and you're like, this is not getting better.
I hate it, but I love it.
Well, yeah. So we'll see what comes out of that one. So kind of like pop question here. Just kind of like it was one of those, what are people's thoughts on that? I'm curious. Now I gotta ask. Indie versus like AAA titles. So the reason I picked that up, or the reason I asked that specifically, is Helldivers 2 came out. And Helldivers 2 was, I think everybody can agree, was way bigger of a hit than anybody expected it to be. Like it was just a sleeper hit. Just came out, didn't hear anything about it. All of a sudden, boom, it's released. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, but like that comes out and it's I think it's Sony PlayStation and PC only right now. I don't think it's anywhere else. And like this was made by a pretty small team, but that made me think of like some AAA titles, like let's say Helldivers as a live service compared to some of the indie games that have been coming out. And I'm not you don't have to use Helldivers specifically, but you can use pretty much any correlation that you want to go with. But like what when you got like when you hear AAA, what do you got? What do you expect? Otawk, what do you expect when you hear AAA title from a video game?
An overdeveloped, underthought product.
Okay. And what do you think? What do you think when you hear indie?
When I hear an indie game, I either think of a God. You know how like Steam has that play before it's released feature, or whatever it is.
Early
Yeah,
access.
early access. That's what it is. So I either think early access game that will never release, which happens a lot, or I think of a very small team's one shot that they put everything they had into it. And for that individual team, person, or whatever it happens to be, it's either they're one and done, they're one and I got started, or no one liked it, but at least I made it anyway.
Okay. So you think fair to say when you hear AAA, you're thinking complete game, piece of shit, but complete game, versus indie where you're expecting an incomplete game.
Yeah, because I mean, you think of most like AAA games that I used to follow pretty religiously. So, there's like Assassin's Creed, right? Like that started off relatively sort of off the radar. It was there, picked up steam, and then it began to build out all these series and all these things that started following it. And I mean, was it good? Yeah, but after a while, you were just getting the same product over and over again. It wasn't really reimagined. They had done it all. They had done every time period. They had done all these things. It was the same game, but you basically just paid $60 to get a reskin. So, and from the aspect of a big company, it makes sense because like every other big company, make a product, sell the product, make money because you have shareholders who are interested in making money. Now, I'm not saying that the indie game makers don't want to make money. Like, obviously, that's an objective of theirs, which is why they're doing this in the first place. But because they don't have as much resource to just go, oh, pfft, and just throw it to the wind, it matters a lot more for them to capture a vision and follow a vision and then produce those. To me, really, what ends up being oftentimes maybe incomplete, but more unique items. So like games that I would probably point out as a more unique but still complete items in this case are like Void Ego. Very small team that did that. That was their first game. It took them like 5 years to make it, but it's an amazing game. If you like at least bullet hell type games, or like Against the Storm, that was another small studio indie game developer, and it's a great game for what it is. It's very well imagined to what it's doing. Helldivers, I wouldn't necessarily say is an indie game, but they're definitely not a big studio. They knew what they wanted to do and they just did it, and they didn't necessarily care if people liked it or not. They wanted to make something that they cared about. Whereas, AAA games, they just want to make something that the vast majority is going to care about. So you end up losing a lot of that character, losing a lot of the storytelling, to just let's make money. And I prefer indie over AAA because I want real characters, not money makers. Like I get everyone likes the hero and the white knight and all this and that, but I want real characters that have flaws, that have, things going on that maybe it's not perfect, but it's at least it's unique in its own way. It feels organic, which I think is what AAA titles have gotten away for. It no longer feels organic. It all feels synthetic and lab grown.
What about you, Zyber? When you hear AAA, what do you like? What do you think? Like, what comes to mind?
Well, what comes to mind is basically the same thing as when I think of indie these days. Is you're basically getting the same product. It's just one person spent more money on their product or project, I should say, than the other. One might look a little more polished than the other, but it still has relatively the same amount of bugs, and it's quicker to patch.
All right, so we kind of put an indie there. So when somebody just says indie game to you, what do you like? What crosses your mind?
Like I said, I don't really see much difference in between like AAA title and indie these days because I feel like it's the same thing, just different amount of money was spent on making that same thing.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Like, I mean, you talk of smaller studios. I look at a small studio that actually did spend a ton of money on a game and made something fabulous. Very few bugs from my recollection. I mean, I've did testing on the game when it first came out, and they're getting ready to release their second one. I think mid this year, Hellblade.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a super small studio.
Yeah, and they spent a lot of money to build that game.
Yeah, they
I mean,
did. Their investment in mocap was pretty big
Yeah.
too.
And then you get something like, say, for instance, Call of Duty,
Gross.
and it's never-ending bugs from like first time it went online for the interactive bullshit, and to now it is skin dump on new. Well, I wouldn't even say anything's really new with it. It's just, skin dumps and remaps.
Yeah, they're even if you go into the sports games, you just find
Right.
skin after skin after skin. No, I get what you're saying. No, I just so like I don't know. I've almost found like there's just a blurred line now between like there aren't too many truly indies out there. Like, I mean, Chucklefish, like when I think indie, I really think low budgeted graphics. I see a lot of pixel art come out of indie stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't see a lot of pixel art in mainstream. That's I know Square Enix released the pixel remasters of Final Fantasy. They released those. That's pixel art. I get it. I understand. I'm not saying that. What I more meant is like, shit. That gummy just kicked in because now I completely forgot where I went.
It was there and then I lost it. I went cross-eyed for a couple seconds there.
Brain rebooted. Shit. What was I saying?
You were talking about the pixel art, and then like a big company released pixel art. And
Oh yeah. So like, I mean, when I think indie, I really like. I see a lot of pixel art for some reason going through my brain. Because I think the first indie games I played were like early versions of Project Zomboid and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a lot of indie games. I've played a lot of AAA games. I've seen indie games that are not pixelated. I mean, a lot of them happen to be pixelated, but I think it's because people enjoy the style. And I don't necessarily accredit it to it being easy to work with. It probably is. I don't know. Not a game designer. Don't judge me. But like one of the first indie games that I bought into is The Long Dark. It's basically like a survival.
Yes.
And, it is like 3D, and there's these aspects to it. Overall, a fun game. I bought into it when it was early access. I never actually expected it to come out, but it did eventually come out. I see where like the line between AAA and indie blurs, because I mean technology is different nowadays than it ever was before, and learning to program and things like that is more accessible than it ever was before, which is why I think we see a lot more indie developers surfacing. But I think indie games in any sense, I think still hold a very significant presence on the market. I just think they're more imaginative than the AAA games. I see a lot better stuff coming out of the indie games than I do the AAA games, because the creators are not stifled behind a company and stakeholders. They are the stakeholder, so they're not beholden to anyone else but themselves. And I think that leads to a greater originality. However, I will say that indie game developers suffer more consequential failures than your AAA counterparts. Because AAA, I mean, a team performs poorly, whatever, I'll just fire that entire team and get a new one and start another game.
Right, but like you have a bunch of indie studios out there that have been around so long, I wouldn't even really consider them like Chucklefish. I wouldn't consider them an indie studio all that much anymore. But then you have I think think it was Square a couple of years ago. They did a crowdsourcing funding for one of their remakes. I could be
Yeah, I think it might have been.
misremembering the wrong studio, but a AAA studio asking fans for money to help make a game.
I mean,
I mean,
why
it's
not? You know, if you can take money from people to fund a product that you don't need to fund, why wouldn't you do it? Don't blame the jester for being good at his job. You know, if he can convince you to laugh, then you know
right. Like,
what can you be mad at?
I mean, at that point, you're just milking your whales even more.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but
but people are willing to pay. Like,
yeah,
Right.
exactly. If people are willing to pay, that's on them. You know, it's just like Kickstarter. I mean, Cecil talked about paying into Kickstarter. If they can convince him to give him money and never actually produce a product, that's on Cecil. That's
Yeah.
not on them.
thankfully, everything I backed so far has come to fruition, and I've gotten a product I've been happy with. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man, that's good. I mean, you don't run across honest people everywhere, but you know, it is good when you
No.
do.
yeah.
I feel like that's a
Um,
controversial topic right there. You know,
yeah, I think we could go back and forth. Well, anyway, so Helldivers 2. Zyber, you said how far did you get into it?
I got. Let's see here.
What level did you make it to?
I'm still level 1.
Have you completed the tutorial?
I got 74 minutes into it.
Did you
Dang.
complete the tutorial?
Yes. I completed the tutorial. I just die a lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that
Fair.
tracks.
I get
Sure.
overrun, and it's like, what the fuck? And I wish it would just auto reload in a game like that, but no.
Yeah. Well, also if you early reload, you actually dump all your rest of your bullets too.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, it took me a match to figure that part out. Like, oh, hold up. I know what happened here. So the reason I just shot 4 bullets is because I reloaded 4 times.
Yeah, I don't know. Helldivers is in a better state than it was when it released. I'll give it
Oh,
that.
hell yeah.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
significantly better state. So for anyone who's waiting on Helldivers to get to a point where it's good, you can actually play the game now. It is officially at that point you can play the game. I would buy in at this point. But I don't know. Like I said, the meta right now. So if you're not good at the game, pretty much these are the things you want to play. And I know I'm saying that spitefully, is rail cannon, breaker shotgun, shield backpack. That's pretty much the meta. And a lot of the guys, if you play public, for those people who play random, if you don't have any or all of those things, you'll get immediately booted on the higher lobbies, just because people don't even want to run the risk that you're not playing what they perceive as the absolute best thing in the game.
And that would be a turnoff to me.
Yeah. Now, I mean, can you play by yourself? Yes. Can you beat the hardest difficulties by yourself? Yes. Can you do it with non-meta stuff? Yes. But, it gets to the point where how much time do you have to play the game to become skilled enough and know the enemies well enough to be able to do that? Like I said, for myself, I'm very non-meta. Like, people are catching up to like how good the slugger actually is. Where I've been there and I've sort of known how good it is, because I just refused to use the breaker shotgun once it was identified as the best weapon in the game. I kind of like the additional challenge when it comes to it, and I kind of also see that, necessarily in PvP, you pretty much are forced to use the meta, because if you don't, then other people who can be on the same skill level will just immediately crush you. But in games like this, where PvP is not the objective, using the meta ends up becoming a crutch, in my opinion, that prevents you from being a better player, because your super strong items prevent you from learning the mechanics of a particular enemy better to figure out how to get off of the crutch or something like that. Or your time to kill isn't fast enough to be able to wipe the enemy out before you have to deal with it. So that's my opinion. No controversial, but
Well, my thing on that is like, who is it? Who are these people to, tell others how to play? Just let someone play.
oh yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
fucking, degrade and berate people for playing the way they want to play. If they're not up to your spec, then jump out of the game.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
I agree. 100%. Because I mean, every single person who plays the game paid their own money or whatever it happens to be to play the game. And by all means, it is a game. Don't take it to the point of such utter seriousness that you change the fact
Right.
it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but I mean, it's human nature to say, to be competitive, right? And I think that's really what that quote unquote meta mindset comes from is why would you even play the higher difficulties unless you're going to bring your absolute A game into it? Which I mean, I also understand that mindset, but I personally just don't agree with it because I understand the value of a hard carry item for someone who doesn't play the game as often or doesn't have enough like time to understand the game. But to me, if you really wanted to learn how to play the game, then don't use those items. Figure out how to deal with it without playing those hard carries, kind of thing. This is my counter argument to bring your A game, because a person who's not using those items could be a far better player than the person who's only playing the meta and saying they're a good player at the game.
Well, see, the funny part that I find about it is that I didn't realize the meta was the meta until I was playing with all of you guys, and pretty much like Danny was using the breaker shotgun. I'm like, hey, is that really working? He's like, yeah, I love it. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
let me give it a shot.
Oh,
Like, oh yeah, this does
absolutely.
work. And then like the railgun, I think I figured out that part because somebody had said something about the railgun from space was the best thing to use. I'm like, oh, I wonder what the railgun like is on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's just funny that I naturally stumbled upon what the meta is.
Well, that's what people always say. It's like, oh, that's your gamer sense. I mean, you when you use these items again, breaker shotgun, railgun, shield pack, you very quickly come to understand how extremely strong those items are. Like, I mean, if you can, I was watching a video yesterday of someone using the shield pack, and like knowledge wise of the game, I know that they should have died like 9 separate times, and I mean like immediate sudden death they could not have recovered from. But because they had the shield backpack, it saved them from that death, and they were able to keep playing with the same life in that particular instance. So like that one particular item, under normal circumstances, he would have been dead 9 times over. But, because he had it, he got spared, which again proves how strong the item is. It's very, very forgiving. You could play very, very poorly and survive because of the item. You don't need to know as much. You don't need to do as much. You don't need to avoid as much. You have a lot more forgiveness without it, with the item rather than you would without it. And a lot of people are kind of now trying to not play with it just because they anticipate the item to get nerfed, coming up in a patch. Breaker shotgun, why it's good because the time to kill is super, super fast. Other guns take a little bit more time to kill, but breaker shotgun can basically take something out in an instant. So, you're not having to deal with hazards. You're not having to learn how to dodge stuff. So, another testament as to why it's good. I think, too, in modern gaming, time to kill is probably one of the most paid attention to things when it comes to weaponry.
Mm. I'm actually trying to think. I'm still back on that breaker shotgun, and I'm trying to remember what Danny said about it that made me go, yeah, I'm going to try that.
Who knows, man? I mean, again, if you use it, it's good. I used it, and yeah, it's amazing. It takes out bots and bugs very quick, very efficiently, and your magazine is big enough to like take out a swarm of both pretty much individually. But I don't know. Like I said, I think it's more fun to just try to do something that has a definite strength but has a definite weakness. And then if you you punish yourself with the opportunity to learn, then you free up the ability to like, oh well, I don't need a shield pack because I understand how to avoid things as is. Because not getting hit is better than preventing, like essentially than a block, right? It's better to dodge entirely than it is to block. And then you can free that slot up for another stratagem or whatever you happen to be. And then like that too, that kind of mindset too, I think tends to translate well to PvP games because then you can play unexpectedly. You can play characters that people don't memorize because no one plays them, kind of thing.
Or like an Exo Primal where you take that one where you're like, yeah, everybody's using Vigilant or everybody's using Zypher. I'm going to use something else.
Yep.
Yeah, but those bugs are also super fucking quiet in that game. They are uncannily stealth.
Yeah, even the armor bugs, you're like, all right, I'm good. Get hit by a truck and it's just an armor bug running over you.
Yeah, like there's a bug within 5 feet of you about to puke acid all over you. I'm pretty confident that I'd be able to hear through that helmet that there's something next to me.
Yeah, right. At least to even imagine. So, to me, I think one of the most frustrating things about the armor bugs or anything like that, it seems like when your character begins to ragdoll, they are just whatever happens to them at that moment in the universe, they're down for it. Like the moment the ragdoll starts, I mean, if you're getting bent over and that's it, then I mean, you're getting bent over. Your character's just saying, you know what, this is the moment. Now is
this
the
is
time.
my time. Yep.
And they'll just flop all over the ground and cannot stand up to save themselves. Meanwhile, you're getting ripped apart by bugs or the robots are basically dancing on top of you. You just not stand up for some reason or another.
Yep. Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah, I've spent too much time in Helldivers now. I've developed an opinion about the game.
I like it.
But
And I like the opinion.
It's like I said, I think it's good. People are coming around now where they're just getting, they're getting tired of playing the meta. It's boring playing the same thing, and then everyone on your team is playing the same thing. So we're at the point now where I'm just kind of happy to see people are getting away from it, and then getting away from it leads to unexpected discoveries. Like I don't know if you guys knew this, but the airstrike, like the very basic airstrike you get for the Eagle, can kill Bile Titans. Not sure if you guys knew that. But you get it back in like 60 seconds and it can kill a Bile Titan.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but everyone's so busy playing the meta that no one decided to run something they didn't think was valuable. So it can kill Bile Titans super easy.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever tried it, to be honest.
Yep.
I've tried a lot of stuff against Bile Titans.
Yeah, like it's just one of those things that you would never try unless you're like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna run this. And then it turns out to be like a fairly strong stratagem against one of the most annoying enemies in the game. Did you guys know if you blow out the Bile Titan's like sacks on the underneath of his body, he can't spit anymore? He can just chase you around.
Oh, what, right under his face there?
So like the green like sacks under his body? Yeah, if you blow those up, he can't spit. All he can do is just chase you around.
I don't know whether this is true or not, but I'm pretty confident the bug's weak spots are their legs, not their torsos. It's like Dead Space.
Yeah. Most of the bug types, their legs are their actual crit spot. That's just like the armor bugs. Like if you have the flamethrower, your flamethrower just over penetrates armor, so you can deal damage directly to its weak spot without having to break armor. You can kill armor bugs super quick just by direct burning their legs.
That I didn't know. All I did know is that if I'm around it with Danny, he's going to catch me on fire.
Yeah, or orbital strike you into it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about friendly fire.
Look at the beginning, it did get dubbed the Cecil Special. I get that. I wear that badge with pride. There may or may not be a sticker being created for it. But yeah, friendly. We've gotten better about friendly fire, I think. But I didn't know that about the Eagle either. Like I never would have thought that maybe the rocket strike I would think to try to use on a Bile Titan.
Yeah, but not like the normal, like it just flies by and shoots stuff. You would never imagine that would be super effective.
America.
Yep. Oh, you know what? Too, the extraction missions. I tell you what, I figured that out at the higher difficulties. You want to know the secret sauce to that?
I'm here for it.
So, I'm always a big advocate, right, for a well-designed game will give you resources that you do not consider using. And the extraction mission, so for anyone who hasn't particularly been seasoned in that, um, you will have to basically release humans from human pods. They will run in the worst possible route where they're almost guaranteed to die in order to get to an extraction like building. On the harder difficulties, it's basically impossible. I actually measured it out. You get a basically a drop ship or a bug hole emergence about every 15 seconds, which makes it near impossible to actually get these stupid bastards into the little escape hole. But then the question came to me is, if we needed to defend this town, why did they give us this huge map to explore? So the secret to beating those high level extractions is to not defend the town. What you need is however many helldivers you can spare to go to basically the furthest reaches of the map and be the biggest, loudest, noisiest people alive, which will draw all the enemies to the furthest possible location on the map. And then the one guy in the town could just run around and release all the humans and basically deal with next to no enemy spawn. And the game is like that mission is basically goes from being impossible to being a cakewalk.
Huh.
So it's kind of like hunting graboids. You got to have a thumper.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Draw him out. Get him over here. But no, I mean that's actually the perfect way to describe it, is that you take however many people you have, take them out anywhere else but the town, and just make as much noise as possible. And then one person is running around and releasing the humans and only dealing with random patrols that walk into the town at like just by their nature. And we've done that on like impossible all the way up to hell dive, and it works perfectly.
Didn't know that. But it sounds right, because all the bugs are the same way. Where like you guys would off be at a or at one of the bug holes being just taking things out, and I'd walk over to wherever the next objective is and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna chill here and press some buttons. And, oh, hey, there's another. Oop, killed that. Okay, we're good there. And yeah, all right, guys, we're done here.
But it's weird, right? Because the defense mission where you're being attacked, it's a very small map. You don't really have anywhere to go. But on this one extraction mission, where the objective is in one spot, you have this really huge map for no apparent reason. But it's not because it doesn't serve a purpose. It was just like there's this hidden mechanic to the mission that I think they always intended you to do, but no one realized that that's what you had to do.
Huh. I'm curious now if they did know about it, like if that was an intended portion, or they were just like, no,
it was. I feel like it was. Maybe I'm overcrediting the developers here, but I feel like that was an intentional design choice, and we were just all doing the mission wrong.
Well, now I want to take those attack missions where you get all the robots or bugs who just attack you in one spot, and you get that really tiny spot that you can hold, that you can drop in on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to explore, see if I can run outside of those. Because when you do the what's his face map or the escort humans, it's still a fairly small, like the place you can drop is fairly small. It's not like it's a big map.
It's not huge, but it's fairly sizable to at least compared it to like the defense mission where you just get attacked.
But I mean, like on the thing where you're moving around to put where you're gonna hell pod in.
Yep.
I feel like on the defense mission that's very tight and small, but I think I feel even on the escort missions that it's not really a large spot that you can be dropping in.
Yeah, it's like a medium-sized map.
But you got to show me. Like I'm definitely not disputing the size. I just mean I mean more of like the loading screen where you select to drop feels like it's smaller than what the map is.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, because I mean you can very quickly run to the edge of the map on the extract mission. Like you can very quickly achieve that, and then It's actually like it's weird, right? Because I don't know if the game only spawns so many enemies at one time, and that's why this particular behavior happens. But like if you're one of the people making the noise to attract everything, you can tell when the person in the town is in trouble because all of a sudden you'll go from seeing enemies everywhere to no enemies at all. And that's because they'll all spawn inside the town. But then that one person in the town just runs out of the town and takes the enemies with them and it gets replaced by another. So like it's not necessarily a perfect strategy, but you can recover back to it pretty quick. So it kind of makes me think that there's some type of logic in the background of the game that only allows so many enemies to spawn at once in a particular area, at least. I'm not sure if it's true, wild theory, but
It's got to be, because there's no way that you could, the system could handle infinite enemies.
yeah.
There'd be
There
some
has to
sort of-
be a logical limit to it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we're all enjoying Helldivers still. It hasn't become too much of a grind yet.
I liked it. Honestly, again, I think it's a pretty well designed game. For $40, you're definitely getting your value out of it. And like I said, especially at this point now that they fixed a lot of the server issues, it's well worth it. The game is basically itself a meme, so if you enjoy high octane memes, it's primed for meme.
Absolutely. Well, I guess let's roll into some final thoughts. Final thoughts is really something we just started up new, where we just kind of like give our last impressions, our last fuck yous if we want to. So, Zyber, any final thoughts?
Well, my final thought is tomorrow's going to be a long fucking day, and there's not enough whiskey in my fridge to make up for it.
I like it. What about you, Zach? What's your final thoughts?
Support your local indie developer and never play the meta.
I like it. My final thoughts are, I am surprised I have any. That's my final thoughts. I feel like a egg beater just went off straight in my ear and just grinded everything right around. But hey, thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app, Spreaker, iTunes, Google Podcast, if it still exists, Spotify, wherever. Just go check us out, G.N.A.podcast.com. Spread the word. Give a review if you get a chance. Just drop a review on either on our YouTube channel, or you can drop it right on Spotify somewhere. I'll get them all. But let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I had a great night.
Absolutely.
Yep, appreciate being here.
Catch you two later.